Hi first graders. This week and next week for writing we're going to be working on something called a realistic story. We have done I think one of these before this year, but we're really going to practice a couple of them this week and next week. Okay? A realistic story means we're going to make something up in our minds, but since it's realistic, it has to be something that could happen in real life. So, as you can see, to get started, I have my writing journal, and I'd like you to get yours too. I've found my next page that has 2 blank sides, okay, so that I can work on my brainstorming today, and we will write our story tomorrow. Okay? Go ahead and grab that along with something to write with. Pause me if you need to go get it, and then come back to get started. Now, as I said, a realistic story is something that didn't actually happen, but it could in real life. Okay, we're going to make things up, but we're going to make them realistic. Okay, so I'm going to go on my left side of my paper today. This is going to be my brainstorming side. And brainstorming means we're going to be coming up with our ideas. Since this is the first one we're doing together, I'll give you the choice. You can go along with my ideas today, or you can do entirely your own. Or maybe you take 1 or 2 of my ideas and maybe you put a little bit of your own in too. It's totally up to you this time, because next time I'm going to make it only you on your own. Okay? All right, let's think. When we think about a story, okay, we have characters and we have settings, right? We need to have it taking place somewhere. Where is it taking place? Okay? So the first thing I'm going to think about are my characters and my setting. Now, I'm going to give you what we're writing our story about today. Your story today should be about characters going on a trip. Okay? So that is our prompt. That's the realm I want you to stay in. Characters that are going on a trip. You're going to write a story. It can be kids, it can be adults. Someone is going on a trip. Okay? That's going to be realistic. So when we think about characters in a realistic story that I'm making up, I'm still going to be making up some characters. I'm not going to use the word I or me. Okay? It's not about me. It's about someone I'm going to make up. So let's take a minute to think. You can use my names or you can think of your own character names. I like to come up with 2 just because it's more fun than 1 to me. So I'm going to make a list here, so I'm just going to put a little dash mark. Think about my characters. Okay, what characters are going on a trip? Why don't we call them, I'm going to say Tony and Scott. Okay, and I'm writing these ideas in my head on my paper so that I don't forget about them. Okay, and it helps me keep all my things straight and make sure I have everything ready for my story when I go to write it. So, go ahead and think and write your characters' names. Mine are Tony and Scott. Maybe yours are too today, or maybe you're going to think of your own. Go ahead and write them if you want. Now the next thing, most important, is the setting. Okay, since our characters are going on a trip, Tony and Scott are going on a trip. Now I got to think of where they're going. They're going on a trip. Now, I could use my own experience. Maybe I have somewhere I like to go on trips and I could write about. Maybe I am imagining a place that's realistic. Okay. I think I'm going to have Tony and Scott go to Texas. Okay, let's see. They're going, or they go, we'll just put go, to, Texas is one of those specific places, so I need a capital T. Okay, so I have Tony and Scott as my characters, and they go to Texas. That's my next brainstorm. I'm not writing perfect sentences right now. I'm just thinking and throwing out ideas. Okay, you should be too. Right, now I got to think about their trips. Okay, so this is all realistic so far. There could be people, and there probably are people in the world named Tony and Scott. And going to Texas is a real place. Excuse me. Going to Texas is a real place, so that's realistic as well. Okay. I had characters going to Texas. What would they do when they're there? Here's what I know about Texas. It's warm. Or hot. There are cities in Texas. I know there are beaches and lakes in Texas, so they could be doing activities like that. Or they could be doing a totally normal activity like going and eating at restaurants. I'm going to think of two things that they do when they go on their trip. When I pictured Tony and Scott going to Texas, I think I'm going to have them go ride some horses. Okay? So, if Tony and Scott are going to Texas, I want one activity that they do on their trip to be riding horses. That is a realistic thing, right? You can go ride horses. You could probably do it in more states than just Texas, right? But for some reason, that pops up in my mind. Tony and Scott are going to Texas, and they're going to ride horses while they're there. Okay, I said we need two things that they're going to do. They ride horses, and I also think of tacos when I think of Texas. Whenever I go to Texas, I always want to get tacos. They have some good taco trucks in Texas. So, their other activity is they're going to eat tacos. What are your characters going to do? Okay, like I said, you can stick with me today if that's what you're comfortable with, or you can have your own today, but you have to have my same guidelines. Characters, setting, 2 activities. They're not in incomplete sentences right now. If I read you this like a story, Tony and Scott go to Texas, ride horses, eat tacos. You'd ask me if I'm talking in nonsense. And that's okay. This is my brainstorm. Tomorrow we will work on our actual story, putting our ideas into complete sentences. Okay? So for today's writing, all you have to do is show me that you wrote your characters, you wrote where they're going on their trip, and what 2 activities that they're doing. All of this has to be realistic. Has to be something and things they can do in real life. Okay, but you're making it up. So no I, no me and mom, no me and dad. That's not made up. Okay, that's real people. That's you and your mom or you and your dad. Okay, so make up your own brainstormed story about your own characters going on a trip. Can't wait to see what you come up with.